Hello and welcome to Why with Simon Miller. My name is Simon Miller and I like to ask why. I'm a very simple human being. Thank you very much for joining me on this Thursday evening. I was about to say here in the United Kingdom. Pretty sure it's not Thursday evening everywhere. Some people will probably be into Friday. Pretty sure Australia is. Don't know why we've started the podcast like this. Let's go off in a different direction. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. That's what it's all about. My new dream is to get to 100,000 subscribers. Don't know why. Just a cool dream to have, innit? Got to have some dreams. And I know I'm a little bit late with this, but, I thought, screw it. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't get round to it last week when the news came out. And I was like, sometimes videos can be timeless. And if anybody ever wants to relive my own experience of WCPW or Defiant Wrestling, they can. So I was going to talk about it today. Shout out to Tom Talks Rubbish in the super chat, who just says, Jim plus Simon stream equals good day. Thank you, my friend Tom. I always appreciate your support. And if you are watching this and you are live on YouTube, you can absolutely just drop me. If you want to ask a question, you want to say anything, you've got memories of Defiant, you can go in the super chat. Also, shout out to What Culture Wrestling. What Culture Wrestling. In the super chat, in the normal chat right now. Hello, What Culture Wrestling. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to What Culture Wrestling, you should go and absolutely do that right now, where you can just get a barrage of good content. But yeah, if you want to share any of your memories about Defiant, or you want to ask me a question, you got something to say, you can use the super chat, a little dollar sign beneath the chat thing there, and we will get to it. So I know that a lot of this has been out there already. Obviously, What Culture Wrestling did their own video of this. You can go check that out now. A few of the guys talked about their own experiences. It's a good listen as well. It was fun. It was interesting. And it's basically a love letter to something that I know was very important to everybody that worked there, both the old guys, the new guys, the present guy, the past guy, the future guys. And yeah, obviously, to me, I'm not saying I have a different experience to them, but when I look back on it now, it's kind of I kind of have two different experiences with it, because the first half, especially when it was WCPW, I was more of a I was behind the stage kind of the guy doing the interviews. I remember being in Milton Keynes and interviewing a bunch of people. I can't even remember all the names now, and doing that and running around and driving around. Like at one point, I'd say this is the best story from the WCPW days. At one point, I was driving a minivan from Milton Keynes to Manchester or somewhere like that. It was from Milton Keynes to somewhere, wherever the next show was. And in that minivan, I'm pretty sure it was Alberto Del Rio, Jim Ross, Paige, Ricochet, Matt Striker, and somebody else. And I remember Will Ospreay and B. Priestley was in there as well. And I remember thinking, if I crash this minivan, I'm going to destroy all of professional wrestling, be it the old guard or the new guard, and I'm going to be that guy. And it was like, that situation was like, if I do crash, I better take myself out before anybody else. Otherwise, I'm screwed. But there are so many crazy stories like that from that company. Like when I've told this story before on my videos, when when I drove Bret Hart home from the arena, and I didn't drive him home. Took him in a taxi back to the hotel, which is just the most surreal thing ever. Having chats with Cody Rhodes because he was trained by Al Snow as well, and obviously when I started getting to wrestling, Al Snow was one of my trainers. Just chilling out with the Young Bucks, going backstage and have a little chat with Neville, with Pac. He was there, and those kind of. I remember when they first got Damien Sandow in, who may have been. I don't know if he was like the first big name they brought in, but I think he may have been. And he was just walking around like anybody else. I know that sounds really marky and nerdy and geeky, but you're always going to have a bit of a reaction when you're so used to seeing somebody on television, and then they are, they're just hanging out playing Nintendo like anybody else. It's like you've taken them off this pedestal of WWE, the pedestal you've put them on, and you're just enjoying them in a completely different light. And of course, if we do go back to the first ever episode of WCPW, me and King Ross were doing the commentary, which was an interesting experiment. I always liked. I know you get some asshole comments these days, and people go, "Oh, the biggest problem with WCPW is that we focused on the YouTubers too much." And look, each to your own. Whatever you wanted from your professional wrestling promotion is more than fine. But I always. I liked all of that. I thought it made it feel special. Thought it made it feel unique. And while yes. Ross and I did not do the greatest job, or at least that was the opinion of the wrestling community. I still really appreciate having the opportunity, and now looking back, I'm still really glad that I was able to do it. It was fun. I had a laugh. It was entertaining. I remember when I was told about What Culture Pro Wrestling, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, oh man, absolutely I want to be involved with that. And now to get here 3 years down the line, I have a bunch of other stories that I can tell due to it. It's no bad thing. Straight out to Nick C in the super chat. He said, enjoy the WWE shows this weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. That's right, Nick's going to be on the podcast on Tuesday. I'll see you then. And AJ Parker goes in saying, Simon, can you give Nikki Crocs a shout out, lol? Nikki Crocs is a verbal typo we have made in recent days. And I like the fact AJ Parker likes it so much. So shout out to Nikki Crocs, soon to be the new character, the new gimmick of Nikki Cross. But yeah, I remember when I knew that it was going to happen a couple of hours before it did, because the people that run Defiant very nicely gave me a heads up. It would have been worse to have just seen it on Twitter. I mean, I would have understood. I didn't expect that, but I think that would have taken me back a bit more. And I guess there was something in the air, when they said they were going to take the summer break, and you hoped it was going to come back. But as human beings, there's always that thing in your mind. You're like, well, maybe it won't. You don't know what the future holds. But yeah, the thing that I really wanted to focus on, well, two things. Something that, people have been mentioning to me on Twitter a lot, which I do appreciate. But also, if it wasn't for Defiant, which they were then when they gave me the call or dropped me the email, who knows where my professional wrestling career would be right now? Because although I'd been training for a good year, I think it was. Maybe it was over 2 years. It was a good year. I'm not sure that I would ever have made... I mean, I would never have got in contact with them and said, oh, put me on a show. And I probably wouldn't have done that with anyone because, I imagine much like a lot of people, it is an intimidating thing to imagine doing. And while training was going well and I was having practice matches, they were still intimidating as well. So the thought of copying and pasting that, but in front of a live crowd, I'm pretty sure it was terrifying in my brain. In fact, I remember getting I was abroad somewhere when that Defiant email came in. I was doing some kind of media training or something. I can't remember what it was. I was somewhere. It wasn't a work thing. I don't remember. Whatever. Wherever I was, I remember getting it. And they said, Miller, do you want to be in the Rumble at No Regrets? And of course I did. I was never going to say no, especially because the way I live my life is by going, if somebody offers you an opportunity, just say yes. And even if you don't know how to do said opportunity, we'll just figure it out after the fact. Because you never say no. You don't know what other doors it's going to open. But there was like a tiny, just like a 0.5% of me that was like, maybe I shouldn't say yes. Because, it's scary and you don't know what's going to happen. And I was really I was really, really nervous. The cool thing about that was, not the cool thing, I think it just sums up life. As you know, I went into fitness and the gym and all of that. And about 2.5 weeks prior to this email, say 3 weeks, prior to this coming in, I had decided I was just going to relax on it a little bit. I was going through some stuff and I thought I'm just going to chill out, eat what I want, still go to the gym, get my cardio done, and whatever happens, happens. So I got really lax with my diet, which really was the first time I've ever done that. And then 3 weeks later, I get that email going, I was like, oh, jeez. So I had to go, I think it was like 8 weeks out at the time. It was like early March, and that was late April. So maybe, about 8 weeks. And I just went, straight back into hardcore mode. I gotta get in as good a shape as possible. And yeah, I just remember it was awesome because as soon as I had the goal and as soon as I had the date of when I knew that something was going to happen, it's just so much easier to focus and it's so much easier to envision where you want to be, and that just helps with everything else. And I remember driving up on that. Actually, I drove it the day before because it was the day after the Greatest Royal Rumble, right? So we went into the studio with the What Culture guys. We did the live stream for that, and it was good because that kind of chilled out my brain a little bit. And then the next day, I remember I went to the gym and I just remember I was so nervous. I was so nervous because I guess for multiple reasons. One, I think most people would be anyway. But then I was like, I don't want to do a bad job. I don't want to let anybody down because we put everything on the internet. And it was just, I think Ben Roy, who works at What Culture, I guess he's the last guy to see me before I went out because Defiant were filming a documentary, which I imagine is still up on Access Defiant. I doubt they've taken it down, so you can check it out. And yeah, I was a bag of nerves. But then as soon as I went out and I got that reaction, which is another reason I wanted to talk about this, still one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. And it will probably be top 5 until the day I die. Hearing a reaction from a crowd that overwhelmingly positive is hard to beat. And the thing it always reminds me of, and by no means am I putting myself on the same level as this, just as a comparison, I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin in that My Sacrifice video that they did. When, he goes, something like, when you hear that crowd pop, you may as well call yourself a junkie because you're hooked. And in that moment, I completely understood what he meant. Because it wasn't just the initial adrenaline rush and the initial endorphin dump that you get just by that reaction. But you get it it was like that was on a Saturday. And then on Wednesday, your body goes, have some more. And every time you watch it back, it's like, have some more. And you're just like, man, this is incredible. And it is like a drug. You just want it more and more and more because it was so satisfying and had so much gravitas to it. But yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. And really, that was, what, a year and 4 months ago, something like that. But, it hasn't aged. It doesn't feel any less special. And again, I did watch it back because a few people were tweeting it to me after the news. And I was like, yeah, that was cool. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Defiant. Maybe I wouldn't have got the confidence to start going out there and wrestling elsewhere. They couldn't have been any nicer to me. That includes both management behind the scenes and the wrestlers themselves. I'm not going to name names because I want to, I don't want to be that guy. But everything from day one to day, whatever the end one was, is just, I honestly don't know what I would be doing wrestling wise. And this ties into part 2 of this point that, so many people have messaged me, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you care. And so many people have messaged me going, well, Miller, where are you going to wrestle now? Are you going to done? Are you retire? I have actually been wrestling for other companies since around about March, April time this year, I think, ever since my injury was cleared. You have to do that if you're a professional wrestler, A, to get better, but also B, you want to be able to apply your craft to whoever that will take you. My mantra is if I'm free and you want to book me, I'll be there. I don't care where it is location-wise. So, but the way I was always going to do it a little bit, and this is I can't think of a better term to use, but it's just the only one that comes to brain. The way that I was going to do it was treat Defiant as my main promotion. I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean I was going to care more there than if I went somewhere else. But because that's where I started, and because certainly as I realized once it was dead, that's where so many people associated myself with, I thought it was a good idea to basically go out elsewhere, try and get as much experience as possible. Then every time I go back to Defiant, people go, oh, Miller got a little bit better. Miller got a little bit better. Because, of course, they would broadcast all their stuff on YouTube. And it doesn't matter that goal's died, because you can change goals and you can do different things. But it matters because, I really like Defiant and I really like WCPW and I really like driving up to those shows, even though they were crazy in Newcastle. Like, what I used to do is on a Saturday, if there was a show on Saturday night, I'd get up, usually go pick up David Starr or Dave Bradshaw or a bunch of guys. And shout out to the Dave Bradshaw and Dave Starr especially, and Jack Sexsmith. They all got in my car at some point. Just good dudes to the end, like really, really good guys. And, that was like a 5-hour drive from where I live. I'm not saying I'm a martyr or a great person for doing this. I'm just trying to explain my passion for it, that I didn't mind doing this at all. So you jump in the car at 10 in the morning, you drive 5 hours up, you get everything ready, you talk to everyone, find your match, do your match. And then, like 11 o'clock at night, you drive back. And I would get back about 4 or 5 in the morning after, dropping everybody off. And then I would, then go to sleep at like 5 and get up at 7, and I go to the gym and I get back on with my day. And sure, you feel terrible, but it was worth it every time. Like, at no point, I mean, sometimes maybe leading up you'd be like, oh, the drive, but as soon as you're doing the drive and as soon as you do the match, you're like, nah, it's all okay, it's all good. I don't mind doing this. I don't mind doing this at all. And again, because of that, I did get closer to a lot of people as well, which is another thing that people talk about in pro wrestling. Shout out in the super chat to Beth White, who said, I'm so disappointed Defiant is no more. I love British wrestling. I'm from the US, and I hope I can watch you performing with another promotion soon. That's very kind, Beth White. And it does. It does suck. It is a shame. There's no two ways about it. I mean, the cool news that broke on my Twitter about an hour ago at SimonMiller316 is that on Wednesday, August the 28th, I'm debuting for IPW, which for me is a massive big deal because I've been watching IPW for a long time, and to be able to start up a relationship with them is excellent. I'm taking on their champion, Rob Lynch, non-title match, not going to lie. I'm not getting, I'm not Roman Reigns here. But look, if you are around in the Canterbury area, just pop over to my Twitter right now at SimonMiller316, or my Instagram, same thing, at SimonMiller316. All the information is there. Genuinely, I see that as such a cool opportunity and such a cool promotion that I'm just putting it out there. If you're in the Canterbury area or you can get there on Wednesday, 28th of August, come down. Please do come down. I'd love to have all the support possible. I'll be nervous for that one. I will open the door right now. I am absolutely... that will be a nerve-wracking one because I hold it in high regard, right? I mean, I'm nervous before any kind of wrestling match, but when a promotion comes along that I respect hugely, again, it's that kind of thing where I want to make sure I hold up my end of the bargain. Shout out to Reese Macy in the super chat. Again, if you do the super chat, you get a hand on the heart. Don't know why. Just something we started doing. I love your work and mean no shade. Here's proof that I'll read out whatever you write. But what's your take on steroids? Have you ever used them? Should they be more open in pro wrestling? Now, I have never taken steroids, but as I've learned throughout my life, there's no point saying that. It's like John Cena answer, but it's true. There's no point saying that because people just go, well, yes, you have. I don't think... I think I need to start standing next to people that are like pro bodybuilders, and then people will see that, while I strive to be as big and ripped as I can, I'm certainly not as big as ripped as the human race can be. In terms of what my opinion on them, I think if you want to take steroids, you should take steroids. And I think if you don't want to take steroids, you shouldn't take steroids. And that's kind of my opinion for all drugs. If you start to abuse something, then you are my friend, I would say something. But outside of that, it's none of my business. That's genuinely what I think. And I mean that for heroin. I don't want anyone to take heroin because I think it's a really dangerous drug. But if you want to take heroin, I don't think it's my right to tell you not to. Again, unless you're someone really close to me or a friend or you've reached out asking for advice. In terms of being more open in pro wrestling, I think that's up to the individual. A lot of people are. I watched a video the other day about Lex Luger talking about the steroids that he's done in pro wrestling. I've read Bob Holly's book. He talks about the steroids he's done in pro wrestling. So I think people in pro wrestling are quite open about it. And I think it should be down to the person. I just don't care. I just don't care. If anybody wants to take any kind of drugs, good for you. I hope you get a good kick out of it, and I hope you don't abuse it because I don't want anybody to die. That's my take on it. But I already know people just go, bullshit. We've been down this road before. 116 Gaming in the super chat says, different kind of message. Thanks for always making content, getting me through hard times. Right now it's tough, but you inspire me. TYSM, which I think is thank you, Simon Miller. But that's very kind of you, dude. I'm sorry to hear that you're going through some hard times. But you got to remember, and this is cheesy coming from me, but it is true. The reason that we have downs is because it makes us appreciate the ups all the more. And I know, the irony, the ridiculousness. But nobody is up 100% of the time. And I think this is my big mantra that, not get out on a worldwide scale. But I think it's really something that we should drive home because not even Brad Pitt is up 100 times of the day, or nobody is. Sometimes we just wake up and we feel like crap. So thank you for always supporting me, 116 Gaming. You're a good guy. We've talked a few times through here, and I send you nothing but positive mental thoughts. So yeah, and I guess the other thing we should talk about if we are going back to Defiant WCPW is of course my fifth match. I was in the ring with Gabriel Kidd, and yes, I got injured. I don't know if I've ever actually explained what that injury was. So not only did I break my collarbone, not only did I tear my rotator cuff, but I also had an AC joint injury. Well, I tore it. I tore my AC joint. When my doctor got my MRI back, he said, you have suffered a devastating injury. And I was like, that's what I want to hear. These are the words I want. And it was, look, 116 Gaming, let's tie it into your message. I was really down after that. Not only was I upset because I couldn't believe it had happened, especially because that was during the Ringmaster tournament. It was a Monday, Tuesday up at Newcastle at the Academy. On the Monday, I'd taken on Nathan Cruz. And I know I said I wasn't going to say anyone's name, but my word, all the thanks to Nathan Cruz, who has been such a good dude to me in terms of matches and helping me along. But I had a match with Nathan Cruz, and it wasn't the best match in the world, but more importantly, it wasn't the worst match in the world. And that, to me, was gold, because it proved to me that I could go out there. He carried it, don't get me wrong. He did all the work, but I was able to go along with him for the work, and it made me look like a passable wrestler. And at that stage, fourth match in, I'm like, I'll look like a passable wrestler. This is amazing. I will do it. So I went into this match with Gabriel Kidd the next day. I wasn't overly confident, but I'd stepped up my confidence a little bit, as you would. That's how we evolve. That's how we progress. And then I went from having that elated feeling on a Monday to being in an A&E emergency room on a Tuesday with my arm all wrapped up, sucking on gas, because when they were checking out my arm, it was so painful. Now, if that doesn't sum up the wrestling industry, I don't know what does. And in many ways now, looking back on it in hindsight, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it certainly reminded me, don't get ahead of yourself. No, don't get ahead of yourself. That's not what I mean. It just made me realize that maybe I didn't need to get not head up is the wrong word. It just gave me some perspective, I think is the best way to put it. And that injury was a nightmare because I got told I did need surgery, then I didn't need surgery, and then I did again, and I didn't, and they gave me a cortisone shot, which was one of the worst things I've ever gone through in my entire life because I cried. It was so painful. That was more painful than the injury itself. And, to only be 5 matches in, and I don't mind the negativity that came with it. If you're going to put yourself out there on the internet and you're going to put yourself out there on YouTube, you have to expect to get both ways, right? You get the good stuff and you get the bad stuff. But when you're already feeling down and you're already feeling a little bit embarrassed, I think it's fair to say, after 5 matches getting injured and being out that much, you do get the YouTuber got injured. Oh, the YouTuber shouldn't be in the ring. And look, I'm well proud of being a YouTuber, if that's the word you want to use to describe me. I love doing all my watch culture stuff. I'm doing this stuff. I'm never going to stop it. I'm never going to end it. But I guess there is still a small part of you where you're like, I can be more than one thing. Like, for one, I'm a man. My name is Simon. I'm a son, like a brother, a YouTuber, a wrestler. You can be more than one thing is my point. And the only thing that irked me, not a lot, but every now and then, was when I was like, well, I'm pretty sure you can go out there and hopefully become a good wrestler. I'm not saying I was one, but hopefully could become a good wrestler and also do the YouTube stuff at the same time. There seemed to be this back and forth where it was like, oh no, you have to be one or the other. And that's nuts to me. I never want to live my life that way. I want to follow my passions and I want to follow what my brain says. But having to, make a video, it was quite funny both ways. One, because we made a video trying to explain it to people, and everybody straight away thought it was a work. Because of course you would, I get it. And then when people realized it wasn't a work, it was, it was just kind of like, nerds. And now I'm getting all these assholes going, oh, Miller's shit, you should never got in a ring. And that's cool. Like, it really, really is. If that's what you think. Well, I know that 90% of people don't think it. They just like to throw shade. And 10% of people probably did, but I don't do it for them. I do it for myself, and I do it for the lovely people in the comments who, have supported me the whole way and lift me up when I'm, during those periods. And these are the important people, not the trolls on the internet that are probably suffering in their own way. Shout out to Perkini in the super chat. It says, just wanted to say you're awesome. I forgot to type the message last time, but a pleasure to send super chat twice. Well, that's very kind, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's always humbling when people say that. I don't really know how to respond, but it's nice that you think that, of course. Why wouldn't I like that? Who wouldn't want to hear such nice words? But look, the thing is, we got over the shoulder injury. We didn't have to have surgery in the end. There was a lot of physio. My word, I spent a lot of money on that, I don't think I ever talked about that either. I went to this proper sports physiotherapist in a very expensive part of the world because I got a bit headstrong with it. I thought, I'm going to get it fixed. And he lasered my arm and he did all this stuff. And for ages, nothing was fixing. And even when it did start to get better, it still wasn't perfect. It would fall backwards and I'd take 2-step backs. And we didn't know what we were going to do with it. And I remember at one point the surgery was booked in. And I changed my mind at the last, that's when I changed my mind to have a cortisone injection instead, because I thought I should try everything, even though I know all the negatives of cortisone, but I thought, oh, screw it, I'll give it a go. And who knows, man, it could go again. Everyone says that, what if it goes again? Well, it could do. But I don't think you can live your life that way. If you live your life that way, you're never going to cross the road, because you may get run down by a car. You kind of just have to throw yourself into the things you want to throw yourself into and hope that you're going to be all right. And if you're not, I've already proven once I can get through it. And even though, again, talking about Defiant wrestling specifically, even that's probably my worst memory, it's also a memory that I learned more than anything off. So it's hard to hate it too much. And now that's over a year ago, and we should just look. We should just look forward rather than backwards, and that's the real reason why it sucks. I think if I'm never gonna regret it because it's out of my hands. But with Defiant, now I'm always gonna feel like I never had a proper run at it. Do you know what I mean? Because I had a bit of momentum there, and who knows what direction it would have gone. It would give me an extra year of doing matches there. So that is a shame. But again, you can't write the script. Ironically, we're talking about wrestling, but you can't write the script. And I was still able to come back as the assistant general manager, which was fun. It was awesome. I got a really good reaction when I did that surprise thing at the Academy in Newcastle again, which was nice for me because that's the same venue where I got injured. And then I got to take on Martin Kirby. I got to take on Nathan Cruz. I got to be in that tag match against the Anti-Fun Police. These are all things, and working with Prince Amin and Shreddy as well. Like, these are all things that gave me tremendous experiences and put a huge smile on my face and proved that, again, when you do, it's cheesy as shit, I know it. If you do get knocked down, you can drag yourself back up. It may just take a while. A few people asking, I get people don't join the stream straight away. I'm just going to get them up as I talk. A few people asking what promotions I'm now going to work for. I'm never going to be able to get this to stick, am I? So I just give you a few of my bookings in case you want to check me out. If you're around this Saturday, you can head on over to Ivor for New Force Wrestling. Just Google New Force Wrestling or find them on Facebook. You can find all the links. I'm down there. I'm taking on Tarquin, a guy that wears a fake fox around his neck. So I've got to kick his ass. But again, please do go check check them out. But yeah, that's on Saturday, New Force Wrestling. And then no, that's not true. And then a week Saturday, 17th of August, I'm down in Southampton at the Hobbit, which I used to play my band at, so that's cool. I'm wrestling for Kapow Wrestling. Again, just search Kapow Wrestling. If you're down south, buy a ticket, come on down. It's in the day, so you can still go out on a Saturday night. And then on Sunday, the 18th of August, I'm back in London at the Bedford, which is the third week of the EWE Heavyweight Championship tournament. I already won my first match on Sunday. I beat Leston Reese. I mean, he did whoop my ass afterwards, but don't worry about that. So you can come down and be a part of that. So there's loads of companies. And again, Wednesday the 28th of August, I am now fighting for IPW, which again, to me, is a massive match. And again, if you're in Canterbury, come down. And the weekend before that, I'm going to be in South Korea, taking on that butthole Adam Mayhem for his H Championship. So there is loads going on, and there's loads more heading into September, but I kind of figured out you don't want to give away too many days because people just stop listening after a while. So the wrestling journey doesn't stop. excuse me, the wrestling journey just keeps on going on. Maybe we head off in a different direction. We haven't really talked about Defiant Wrestling or WCPW at all, which was meant to be the idea. But look, basically, I don't think, as I've said, I don't know where I would be without all that. And there were certainly other people who helped me get to where I am now. But they're the people that reached out and they took a chance on me. And I know it's because there was an association with What Culture, and I also well aware that maybe. Not even maybe, I'm well aware that given the level of the bar and the level of quality in Defiant, that I was ahead of maybe where I should have been. But this ties back into the whole, if you're offered an opportunity, you just go with it. And you see where you end up. And you see how you do. And you see how you don't do. That's all you can do in this crazy thing called life. But I'll always be able to look back on it and, just remember driving a bunch of wrestlers around, interviewing a bunch of wrestlers. I mean, if you go on either channel, there's, I've interviewed, Ricochet and Trevor Lee and Keith Lee, I should say, sorry. I'm not going to list them all. I got to do all of that kind of stuff, meet all these cool people, drive a bunch of wrestlers around. I made friends because of the rooming situation with WCPW. Obviously, they would room you with other people, and sometimes you knew them, and sometimes you didn't. And there were people that I met that became like really good friends that I still talk to today. It's the things kind of behind the scenes that you don't see as well that mean a lot. And no matter what my wrestling career does, when I look back and people go, "Hey Miller, who'd you debut for?" It'd be Defiant Wrestling, and before that, who were you sort of in bed with? It'd be WCPW, and I always liked WCPW. It was an easy target because of the YouTube stuff. And I'm part of it, so it's different. But I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was fun. I thought all those guys smashed it every time they had to be involved. There were some great heel turns with all of them. They took some amazing bumps. They had no fear. They threw themselves into it. Probably a situation they never saw coming. So just respect to all of them. Chicken Salad in the super chat says, sending some love from the US. Thanks, Chicken Salad. I send you some love back from the UK. Next time, maybe you can send me some chicken salad. That'd be nice. I always appreciate. I always appreciate chicken salad. Someone said, if you had an option, what company would you like to work for? Again, everyone, man. Everyone. If somebody wants to book me and somebody thinks I can add something to their card and to their product and I'm free, I'll be there. That's it. That's the only reason I wouldn't. I like to be quite loyal with my bookings, so I've said yes to somebody. I won't cancel. I think that's just a nice way to live. But, I'll never, I just want as many as I can because that's the only way to get good experience. I'm still going to training sessions as much as I can, which is still quite a lot. But I still learn. Don't get me. I'm not saying I'm not learning from those, but you realize you learn so much more from being in a match, even if it's from making mistakes. And I made loads of mistakes. I'll tell you some stories. We may as well. So in my Martin Kirby match for the internet title, we were going to do a Falcon Arrow off the top rope. And I've done plenty of Falcon Arrows off the top rope. Like I really, really, really have. And I like that move because it's surprising, it's big, and people like that stuff. And I was gassed in that match. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I don't know why. I don't think I was breathing properly. In fact, I learned from that match because ever since then I remembered to breathe, and it's been so much better going forward. I don't get as worn out as I did. But I was so worn out that when I went to climb the ropes, I really got myself G'd up. But you can do it. But as soon as I'd lifted Martin up, I was like, I'm not going to do it. So what I did was I kind of just fell backwards in a suplex position and just pulled him down on top of me because I was really worried about screwing up the move. It looked horrendous. Thankfully, no one got hurt, and thankfully, like I said, my instincts kicked in, and it was all good. But that got edited off the show, as it should have done. But again, my experience kicked in. Now I know if that happens next time, you change it, right? Do a superplex instead, because that's far easier to do, and there's no spinning or anything like that. And those things are going to happen. Like they just are. It's funny how you can do something. This ties into my point. You can do training over and over and over and over again. Then you put yourself in a match situation. And all of a sudden, it's like I'm a brand new baby goat, and I don't know what's going on. And you kind of run around going, "Oh, what am I going to do?" There's not the cool thing, but I mean, I've got a whole new theme song that I was going to debut when Defiant start up again in October. The good thing about that is I'll use it IPW now. We'll start there. Wednesday, August 28th. We'll debut the new Simon Miller wrestling music, which I think is far more wrestling appropriate. I love my old one, and my band wrote that as well. Shout out to Rich and Perry, good dudes, till the end. But this one is, just, well, you'll see if you're coming to the match or if you see it afterwards. There's probably loads more that I could talk about. Like I should shout out HT Drake as well. Obviously, that's the guy that I threw out of the Rumble. And Jack Smith. I should definitely talk about Jack Sexsmith. So the first thing I did when I got in that Rumble was hit Jack Sexsmith with the ups and downs, the running power slam. And he was a good dude. He'd be a good dude since day one. Again, I'm not going to get into it, but shout out to him. And then we went into the feud with Drake because he pulled me out of the Rumble. And it's a shame we never got to have our big match because I went and got injured. But, he still taught me loads as well. And he was always giving me advice. And even when he cracked my head open with a chair, I forgive him. That was good as well. Second match had my head busted open. Although that one I take offense to, because so many people were getting in my phone, Miller, you're injury prone. 100% of people, if you hit them hard enough with a metal object, will bleed. If you don't, you're probably already dead or you don't have blood in your system. That is ridiculous. So that one, that's just one of those things. That just happens. The worst thing about that match, I don't even think I talked to him about this, is he went to kick me in the stomach and he went low and he got me right in the balls. And I couldn't breathe. And I remember thinking, I can't go on, but you have to. You can't just lay there and wait until you get to your breath back. That was the worst part about that match. I remember it was absolutely awful. Oh, man, that feels like forever ago now. It was last May. That was May 2018. But yeah, look, it does suck. It's done. It's over. Maybe one day it will come back. You never say never in pro wrestling, right? And I think that's the cool thing. But I just want to do a little podcast talking about my own wrestling career, my little memories with it, all the things that it meant to me. Again, I remember sitting in an ice rink talking to Jim Cornette because he was there. He was there on that tour, and I think that was the night where it was Cody Rhodes versus Kurt Angle, and there was 2,500 people in an ice rink in Manchester, I believe it was. I mean, how crazy is that? 2,500 people, and I remember saying to whoever I was sat next to, "This feels like a WWE show," and it did. The crowd was really loud. The crowd was really jacked up. Like, it was a real buzz for it. It was just. Someone said to me the other day, said, Simon, would you have preferred to have debuted when it was still WCPW? I was like, I don't care, man. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The things happened for a reason. And I probably wasn't ready when I did debut, but I think Triple H said that best, right? When he was talking about becoming world champion, all those little things that you get in your wrestling career. You are probably never ready for it, but that's only because you can't be ready for it. To get ready for it, you need the opportunity. You need to do it and then look back and you realize where you screwed up and where you go again. Right, so unless anybody has other questions to throw in the super chat, again, it's just meant to be a little love-a-thon, really, because I wanted to say something, and I wanted to do this last week, but again, I ran out of time. There was a whale weekend, and this week has been nuts as well, with wrestling stuff, which is great. So yeah, I just thought we'd do it now. Now it's here forever. Now it's here forever. And in that meantime, Tool has released a new song. This is true. Someone just said that. 13 years, I think it's been since Tool released a new song. Think about that. I learned to be a wrestler, debuted as a wrestler, and now have loads of bookings throughout 2019 in the time it took for Tool to write and release one song. But I love Tool, so it's okay. Tool are badass. But yeah, so thank you to Defiant Wrestling. Thank you to WCPW. If anyone is from those companies watching, I owe you one. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your experience, your wealth of knowledge, and just treat me like a nice guy. I know that some people think I shouldn't be in the wrestling business. I don't know why, just because I also like to talk about wrestling on the internet. Again, I don't understand why those two collide. But to those people, I'll just let you know now, I ain't going nowhere. And I'll leave on my terms when I feel like I'm done, but that's certainly not now. If you're around on Saturday, come down to Ivor. It's sort of just outside of London. New Force Wrestling, Google them, check it out. I'll be down there fighting Tarquin. Week Saturday down to Southampton for Kapow Wrestling. Week Sunday back in London at the Bedford in Balham for EWE. And then Wednesday, 28th of August, 2019, going against Rob Lynch, the IPW champion, in a non-title match. Again, you can get your, again, just search my Twitter, Simon316. You find all the links. If you can come down to that one, please do. Again, I want a lot of support for that, so my nerves don't just eat me alive. Shout out to Chicken Salad in the super chat, who just says you should work on a standing sliced bread. Don't hold your breath there, Chicken Salad. I like to try and keep myself as safe as possible. No, that's not true. I would do crazy moves. I don't think I would do that crazy move. But you never know. You never know. You never know what situation is going to come up in the future. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for anyone that's ever supported me, be it here, What Culture, or my wrestling journey. Again, thank you to Defiant Wrestling /WCPW. Come follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. Support me on Patreon, patreon.com/SimonMiller316. That's how I'm able to do all of this stuff. All the money goes back into the podcast and my own YouTube channel and a bunch of other personal stuff that I'm working on. I think I said to subscribe to it anyway. But look, we're talking about wrestling the entire time. There's all these links in the description below as well. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com. Bunch of merchandise. And of course, in association with Pins and Knuckles. And you can go to pinsandknucklesmerch.com, where there is an exclusive Y t-shirt that you can also buy. That's now the official sponsor of the Pro Wrestling Podcast as well. But you can check out the episode earlier in the week to find out more about that. Thank you so much again. Have lovely evenings, and we will get back to normality as of next week. Love ya.